Hey, the world's full of fantastic music. Each month, we explore an album of significance, its roots, how it makes us feel, and then banter about its influence and staying power. Join us on our journey as we dissect, discuss, and discover some of the world's greatest albums on The Sonic Collective.
Hello, and welcome back to The Sonic Collective at thesonic.collective.com, and all our tracks are stored on soundcloud.com, and you can catch us on any podcast platform. I'm Darren Scott, and tonight I want to introduce you to our next month's picks. Usually we do one pick of one artist per month, per member, and take turns reviewing them. But this month, we decided to do something a little bit differently. We were talking in an episode, 2 episodes ago, and Nickelback just came up. We didn't review them, they just came up in the episode. And of course, right away, there was a mention of why people hated the band Nickelback so much. We started to joke about it, and then actually Alan and I defended Nickelback and said, hey, they are a talented band. Like them or not, it takes a real talented band and a group of musicians to be able to play that tight, play that often, and knock out hits like a band like Nickelback does. So anyway, that got us thinking, what if we just did 1 month where we just focused on bands people love to hate? So that's what we decided to do. So instead of 4 picks, 1 per month, we're going to review 4 bands and not just any one album. We're just going to take a general look at their entire discography and just review it and then think about it and then really get to the bottom of, are these bands actually deserving to be hated so much by so many people? Now, of course, this is all just, obviously not everybody hates all 4 bands we're going to pick, and they have more fans than more haters. But we just, we decided to set a bit of criteria. So here is the criteria we decided on. These bands have sold a lot of albums. Now, there'll be a lot of bands that were not very successful, so we wanted to make sure they were commercially successful. Criteria number 2, they must be loved and ideally still active. So we wanted to make sure these bands are still around and still topical. Obviously, you could go back in time and think of many bands that were hated, but let's focus on kind of the last 10 years here and bands that we know had that type of criticism. And then the third is obviously they must also be hated, disliked, ill-reviewed by many, and ideally by critics as well as just the general fan base and the not fan base that would hate them. Okay, so we're going to do that, and then we're going to have a discussion. We'll have an overview of the band's history. We'll go through their album sales and accolades to date. We'll go over why we think they're hated and why we also think they're loved. We'll make a quick case for them, pros and cons, and try and be as unbiased as possible. We'll discuss it amongst ourselves. So that's kind of what we're going to do. And then we're going to decide and give you our 2 cents each on whether or not we think they deserve that. So now you're wondering who the bands are. So, of course, we went back and forth, and this took a lot of back and forth between the 4 members here to figure out. It was almost too easy to pick on some of the more pop bands, so we kind of avoided them. So, unfortunately, we are kind of in one genre here, which is the rock genre. Some of them are a little harder than others, but it definitely is all in rock. Okay, so here are the 4 bands. I'm up first, Darren Scott. My band is the Dave Matthews Band. Now, I won't get into it, but I do personally dislike the Dave Matthews Band as a whole. I'll save it for my episode. The second pick will be Creed, and that Scott Coates is going to research and run with that one. Our third pick by Alan is going to be Limp Bizkit, who Alan says he actually is quite into them, so this should be interesting. And the last pick of the 4 is from Scott Gregory, and he's going to pick Nickelback. Of course, we had to have Nickelback in there. Why not? And we're Canadian, and funny enough, the 4 of us all lived or were from Alberta. As we know, Scott Coates is in Thailand now, but he was from Alberta. So they're just a hop, skip, and a jump up a little bit north from here, from where we live in Calgary, Alberta, from where Hannah is, where that is the birthplace and where Nickelback got started. So that's it. So we're going to review bands that people love to hate and we're going to see, like, you know what? Do they really deserve it? Let's give them a good old college try and do our best and see if we can get through them and decide maybe, some of these are good bands, and we may come to the kind of revelation that maybe some of them aren't so good. But we'd love for you to join us. Please listen along. Please comment. If you have suggestions for other bands, maybe we can do them in a future episode. But we hope you enjoy this one. We're listening to 4 bands and a lot of music in 1 month to come back and review. So you be sure to come back at the end of August, beginning of September, to see our review of these 4 bands. For the Sonic Collective, for right now, I am Darren Scott, and I'm signing out. And cheers, and be sure to listen on your favorite podcast platform.
Thanks for listening and exploring with us. We'll be back real soon with another pick and critique of albums that matter here at the Sonic Collective.